China. DepEd and fuel subsidies and some other stuff. But I can see is lost in the memory of patriotism. Kumusta for me? This is War Joseph, and welcome to News I Deem Worthy Recap Weekly Edition number 11. The summarization of the news starts from the headlines for the 6th of July to the 12th of August 2023. Kaya paganda na for the blazing selective summation. These are the news headlines for Sunday, 6th of August 2023. China aggression in the WPS and Maynilad water interruption again. China aggression in the WPS. The Chinese Coast Guard has done its darnest again to isolate one of their most important potential ally in the region. What a freaking dumpster fire. They have water bombed with water cannons our Philippine Coast Guard on a resupply mission on the Ayungin Shoal for the BRP Sierra Madre. This is unacceptable. Ayungin Shoal is one of the closest atoll in the island of Palawan, deep into our territorial waters in the Kalayaan group of islands. Despite numerous reports from Western countries, India, and a host of other allied countries, they have not stopped their harassment and their incursion to our territorial waters. I don't even think this is because of the ineffective diplomatic protest or Senate resolution recently passed. It's just a regular occurrence of harassment and intimidation tactics. This is literally a routine at this point. A lot of powerful and influential countries have supported our win at the arbitral ruling against China's incursions in the West Philippine Sea, trying to uphold the United Nations Convention on the Laws of Seas or UNCLOS, which tries UN participating governments to agree to terms of basic constitution through convention. And let's be honest, just like the Geneva suggestions, they are just suggestions. Wait, Geneva Convention. Just suggestions of the laws of the seas, basically. Just last month, 18 European countries and some other, and India backed us up. Nothing will happen and nothing will change. I mean, ROTC my ass, Senator Robin Hood Padilla. I mean, what? This isn't one of those underdog movies where the bully gets the comeuppance the audience has been vying for the entire time. Give all the Senate resolutions, support of the West, UN resolutions, a slap on the wrist type of crap, but as of now, we can't do shit. Diplomacy can only get you so far. I know this is defeatist, but it's the truth. If our weapons are truth and reason, China's weapons are literal weapons and water cannons. Senators have urged moves and suggestions to blacklist certain infrastructure projects of Chinese companies inside the Philippines just so that they'll see how serious of a loss the Philippines is. But to be fair, we need them no matter how much we try and pretend to, because the US won't. And I don't even like putting China on blast here. I admire China and its leadership. The CCP is the greatest that's come up in the last I don't know how many years. Their growth is unprecedented. They are a great economic partner. I don't want to be angry at them. I don't want our country to have an animosified relationship with the biggest partner in our neighborhood and arguably the whole world. But this is happening way too often that we need to put our foot on the ground. I don't know what actually would be the greatest option we could ever have, but we'll think of something, I think. I mean, we should. Although it has already been what? I think around 6 to 7 years after that arbitral ruling and decades since the first ever incursions in our territory. But you know, who has the bigger dick? Oh, bigger stick? Maynilad water interruption again. Maynilad has announced on coming August 8 to November 2 in parts of Las Piñas, Bacoor City, and Imus City from 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. due to filtration pipe replacement operations. This the news headlines for Monday, 7th of August 2023. DFA calls PH Chinese ambassador. The Department of Foreign Affairs has called in the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Wang Zilian, after the intimidation and harassment of 8 huge boats bombarding and water bombing of the Chinese Coast Guard to the Philippine Coast Guard at assisting resupply missions to our bases in the Ayungin Shoal. The DFA has again, kind of in futility, if I'm being honest, I mean resistance is already futile at this point, filed another diplomatic protest in a note verbal following the aggression. So again, just like the Senate resolutions that Risa wants to do, I mean it passed, but still, nothing will ever come out of it. As I've said, I'm cynic about this stuff, and I do wish something fruitful would actually happen, but as of now, it just isn't worth it. It just isn't worth it to fight against the Chinese. Or at least an all-out war would be incomprehensible. We're just not that worth it, apparently. And we cannot fight for ourselves. So what should we do? Well, we can hold all peaceful rallies we want. We could hold violent rallies if we want. I'm not saying anything. I'm not inciting anything. I'm not against the CCP. I love their structure of government, as I've said a billion times, just like how many people they have. Although now it's becoming less and less just because of these incursions. But you know what I'm saying. I like the authoritarian but prosperous nation that they have built for the last 30 years. Those unprecedented growth should be mimicked by almost everyone. If we can recall, Ambassador Wang Zilian, the Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, had slighted the Filipino people before. I mean, with his misquoted and misinterpreted, as I said, clear signs of blackmail to the Philippine government by almost threatening, indirectly or directly, whatever you want to call it, the overseas Filipino workers in Taiwan, as the Philippines continue to work with the West, straying further away from China's influence. I mean, I wonder why. Wonder why. You This is the news headlines for Tuesday, 8th of August, 2023. China angry, PH ship not out. Is this the China episode? Who knows? The Chinese are claiming that the Philippines has promised several times to get the rusty scrap metal ship in service since 1944. The BRP Madre amid summons from the Department of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines and multiple diplomatic protests. Wang Zilian basically said, China did nothing wrong. I mean, hey. Or the Coast Guard did nothing wrong because it's their territory and that we have the materials for a building or construction thing. Yeah, it's ours. What you're gonna do bad. Actually, if that same logic applies to you, yeah, that would be bad for us too. But, you know, underdog. Though I don't want to play that in the future when I am the president of the Philippines. And so I will leave you with this. Get your stupid ships out of my territories because I still want to take Sabah. And I like the reclamation projects they've done, just because I want. And the fact that those reclamation projects will be scenic. Even if it's only going to be for the rich, it will be a scenic view, which is like a guarantee, unlike most of Metro Manila. I know it's sad, but it is what it is. The reason why I support the reclamation project is that building infrastructure in an area so cramped, the government is too much of a pussy to take out the squatters in their respective fields. Like maybe clean up, take them to Bulacan or Rizal or Cavite or Laguna. Take them there, or at least in a condominium, huge condominium, and then put some services there. Again, spread the concentration of wealth and government services in the country. Maybe try the Greater Manila area for that. This is the news headline for Wednesday, 9th of August, 2023. PSA June unemployment increased. According to a recent statistic by the Philippine Statistics Authority, unemployment went up by 159,000 or a 0.2% decrease in labor participation, but overall 663,000 or 1.5% increase since June 2022. Wages barely changed, showing our overworked and underpaid population less appreciation for the proletariat of our nation, even with the whole 40 peso national minimum wage increase. Not to mention underemployment and job skill mismatch. Underemployed people in June also increased from 11.7% last May 2023, but down from 12.6% last June 2022. But down from 12.6% last June 2022 to 12%, down 13,000 since last year, but up 214,000 since last May. It bounced back after that large decrease back in May. This is the news headline for Thursday, 10th of August, 2023. LTFRB to give fuel subsidy. The Department of Transportation has targeted to implement a fuel subsidy program for public utility vehicle drivers by the end of August when it receives the 2.95 billion peso fund from the Department of Budget and Management. As a response to the numerous oil price hikes due to increased in demand of the global market and the stranglehold of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries or OPEC, the DOTR has said to be distributing cash aids for more than 1 million PUV drivers, giving our 280,000 PUV drivers 10,000 to modern jeepneys and UV expresses, while traditional jeepneys, buses, TNVs, taxis, and other UV expresses will also get a 6,500 peso fuel subsidy. The bulk of the fund would be given to tricycle drivers, around 930,000 will receive a one-time payment of 1,000 peso and 150,000 delivery riders will receive 1,200 pesos. The driver shall be the one to receive the subsidy, not the operators of their multi-conglomerate and consolidation of the bulk of the jeepneys. That's what LTFRB was trying to do with the whole PUV modernization program. Instead of operators, it would be cooperatives. I mean, that's democratization at its finest. But what will the drivers finna do? This This is the news headline for Friday, 11th of August, 2023. A fine relief just because we don't really control the global market and their production. Like that's outside of our control. DepEd launches MATATAG curriculum. The Department of Education headed by Secretary, Vice President, and admitted normie relying on experts to construct a curriculum, Sara Duterte, has launched the new curriculum for the K-10 curriculum. Too many curriculum. The new curriculum reduces the current 7 subjects, mother tongue, Filipino, English, mathematics, araling palipunan, MAPE, edukasyon sa pagpapaplastic, pagpapakatao, and turns the new curriculum to 5 subjects. At least the 5 core subjects. Reading, language, reading and literacy, mathematics, makabansa or patriotism in English, and good morals and right conduct. It is anticipated to be taught at the opening of public schools in 2024 to 2025 academic year for the new implementation of the curriculum in grade 1. School year 2025 to 2026 curriculum implementation for grades 2, 5, and 8. School year 2025 to 2026 curriculum implementation for the curriculum grades 2, 5, and 8. Grades 3, 6, and 9 in school year 26 to 2027, while 10th graders will see to it in 2027 to 2028. Why so convoluted of a release schedule, by the way? Why not just do it in one academic year? Or at least do it by block or contiguous grade levels, like grades 1 to 4, as they have been previously doing. The MATATAG curriculum was said to be in response to and address the educational constraints of learning perceived incompetency through congestion, through numerous and probably unnecessary acronym creation by the forced, mal-educated acronym makers, for example, like MATATAG. MATATAG stands for MA, make the curriculum relevant to produce job-ready, active, and responsible citizens. TA, take steps to accelerate the delivery of basic education services and provision facilities. TA, again another TA, take good care of learners by promoting learner well-being, inclusiveness, learning, and positive learning environment. And finally, G or G, give support for teachers to teach better. So basically, how you would have to pronounce it for it to be consistent would be MATATAG curriculum. This is a westernized version of whatever we have now. I feel like this is what their strategy is. By blurring regional lines, by eviscerating regional dialects inside the school or reducing them to a lesser degree, while also promoting patriotism with makabansa subject. That's probably going to be the Philippine history and some NSTP lessons about patriotism and or nationalism agenda behind it. So I guess it's good. Take out the mother tongue subject. It just sows division because we already have one language, and that's the Filipino language. Let's not resort to using such dialects that could just tear us apart, because we are emphasizing the differences between our cultures, and we could not have that. We need to be one, a nationalistic populist movement. And so yeah, I think it's a good thing that we got rid of mother tongue and just, eviscerate all of those regional dialects. I mean, not really, because it will still live on, however, at a much lesser degree of importance. This is the news headline for Saturday, 12th of August, 2023. Manila Bay reclamation projects on hold. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources has deemed it necessary for the 22 reclamation projects in Manila Bay after billions of investment in constructions of land reclamation projects to be suspended. This suspension comes after the US's environmental concern, although it has been months or arguably years that this land reclamation project has been going on. One of the reasons is because a company working in the project was blacklisted by Washington, a Chinese state-owned firm, and it's named China Communications Construction. I mean, why would they ask us now to suspend it all? We've already gone through and behind the anti-Manila Bay land reclamation projects for commercial use. And as I've said, it's fine. Should we take out the BRP Madre out of Ayungin Shoal? The BRP Madre is a ship launched in 1944 amid the Second World War, also serving under the United States Navy in the Vietnam War. Cue the August. As of now, the salt air and rust on the ship always needed something definitely more. Whispers of "Are you sure?" Concerning its pitiful form, the Philippines, who had intentionally crashed the ship on the Second Thomas Shoal in 1999 as a form of the Philippines' symbolic territorial claim in the region. It's a discrete symbol or form of Philippines' territorial claim in the region. The debate sparked sparked after a resupply mission guided by the Philippine Coast Guard was shot down by the Chinese Coast Guard, bombarding the resupply ship with water using water cannons, a form of aggression we all know too well. But I can see is lost in the memory of patriotism and nationalism blindness whenever those that support the removal of the ship that China has been demanding points finger to the despots that tries to be realistic, more like realistic, claiming that August slipped away into a moment of time, claiming those that speaks or contradicts the mainstream opinion of support and nationalist fervor are treasonous, saying, "Cause it was never mine." Just like when Duterte and she is twisted in bed shits is termed and the Philippines slipped away from China like a bottle of wine. We know it is never ours. The Spratlys was never practically ours. Back when we were still fighting the case in UN for the better, one thing was enough. To us, it was enough. To live for the hope of it all. Cancel those that argues we can't enforce it at all. And say meet us behind the jet ski in the mall. So much for the Duterte love, cause WPS was never ours to lose. WPS wasn't ours to lose. And we got it, unlike the August song, but you know, it's just paper. What would the paper do against the might of the Chinese Navy? And that's the end of the News I Deem Worthy Recap Weekly Edition from August 6 to August 12, 2023. Mag-suggest some more topics and or corrections to the balitas if you feel I misrepresented them in any way. Salamat sa mga panonood mga kabayang. For me, like, subscribe, and follow my links and socials on Avor Joseph, the would be linked down below. Sa susunod bali, paalam.